see here, like this is 14th Street, right? Like this is one of the main drags in Oakland, and it's covered in poop and it's covered in dead birds, which is pretty ridiculous for a downtown street. We've got two species of birds that are nesting here, the Black-crowned Night-Herons and the snowy egrets. There's over 80 black-crowned heron nests that are just right here, and so they nest here every year. They've actually probably been nesting here for decades, but their numbers have been increasing in maybe about the last 5 years. And so what myself and other volunteers do is we walk under the trees and actually count the nests, and then we look for any birds that need rescue. So in February, I trained 25 people to come out and do more or less what we're doing right now, just walking the heron colony, looking for birds. And we're really looking for young birds, especially the herons, that have fallen out of the trees. And because they're falling on hard concrete, you know, they die on impact. That's a natural part of a bird's life cycle, but what isn't natural is that there's no understory out here. There are no smaller trees or bushes under the nesting trees that the herons would fall on. So they end up on the ground, and their parents won't feed them. It's too much of a risk for a parent to come down and feed a young bird on the ground. It makes the adult too vulnerable. So unfortunately, we've got all these young birds that can walk, but they can't fly, and they are walking around out here starving to death, or dying of cold, or they're wandering into the street and getting hit by cars. And sometimes we see them just wandering around in this parking lot, so that's another huge problem. You know, in a more natural habitat, if they were out here, they would have bushes to hide under. So instead they hide under the cars. And then people drive their cars out of the parking lot and end up running over them. This is, like I said, it's like this really vulnerable, tricky time. It's like, it's healthy enough and strong enough to walk, to hide from me. Sometimes they hide from me. But if it's not yet strong enough to fly back into the tree where it'll get fed, then it could die of starvation. Okay, so there's another bird. That's an example of a bird I'm worried about. It's trying to hide. It's staying near the tree because it knows it's supposed to be in the tree because that's where it came from. As you can see, it can walk around, and it's looking for food, but there's really no food here for it. Hi, this is Marissa, and I'm hoping you could radio the Heron transport team on Channel 4 for me, please. Thank you.
I'm just gonna casually walk over.
Okay, I'll try to just be on the street side and.
Just leave this over here.
Okay.
I'm going back. Yeah, just do that. In the bushes. Get all up in the bushes, are you? Come on out.
Wow, this is a first. That's good, babe. We need a ladder. I've never had this happen before.
All right.
Good job.
I know.
It's okay, little butters.
I know. It's okay. It's okay. It's all gonna be good. Wow. You are great.
Yeah, that was super professional. Just hands on, no net, right from the bush.
This is a little thing.